Hey everyone, if you're a video creator, you know the feeling, right? There are a million little technical things that can trip you up. Well, today we're going to demystify one of the biggest and, let's be honest, most confusing of them all, video codecs.
I mean, you know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you? You've spent hours, maybe even days, in your editor. The color grade is perfect, the cuts are sharp, everything looks absolutely pristine on your timeline. Then you hit export, you upload it, and what is that? It's a blocky, pixelated mess. It's so frustrating. And guess what? The culprit is almost always the same thing.
So what is this thing that's messing with your videos? It's the codec. And the name itself is actually a huge clue. It's a mashup of coder and decoder. And that's exactly what it does. First, it codes or compresses your giant video files to make them a manageable size. And then when it's time for someone to watch it, it decodes or decompresses that data for playback. Think of it like the gatekeeper for your video quality. Okay, so right away, let's clear up the number one biggest point of confusion. A codec is not your file extension. You see a file that ends in .mp4 or .mov. That's not the codec. Those are just the containers. They're like the box that holds everything together. The video, the audio, the subtitles, the whole shebang. The codec is the method of compression that's happening inside that box. There's a great analogy for this that really makes it click. Imagine all your video files, your audio, all that data. It's a giant pile of clothes on your bed. The suitcase you're going to pack them in, that's the container, your .mp4 or .mov file. So what's the codec? The codec is how you pack that suitcase. Are you carefully folding things? Are you rolling them up to save space? That's your codec, the clever method for making it all fit. So why do we even need to do all this? Why do we have to pack this digital suitcase so carefully? Why not just leave all the data raw and uncompressed? Well, the reason is actually pretty simple, but the numbers are kind of staggering. It all comes down to one thing: file size. Okay, check this out. A single 30-minute video clip, and we're just talking standard definition here, not even HD or 4K, if it was completely uncompressed, would be almost 50 gigabytes. 50! Can you imagine trying to record or edit a 4K file that size? Or worse, upload it? No way. It's just not possible. And that is the core job of a codec. It's basically a digital magic trick. Its whole mission is to take that enormous file and shrink it, drastically shrink it, down to something you can actually work with, all while trying to keep the image looking as good as possible. Without codecs, modern video as we know it just wouldn't exist. Okay, so how on earth are you supposed to choose the right one when there are so many options? Well, the good news is you don't have to memorize a giant list. The key is to understand the fundamental trade-offs that you're always making. And for that, there's a really simple mental model we can use. Let's call it the creator's triangle. Basically, every single codec is a balancing act between three competing goals. You've got image quality on one corner, small file size on another, and low playback complexity, meaning how hard your computer has to work on the third. And here's the kicker. You can have any two you want, but you almost never get all three at once. Your choice always depends on what you need for that specific task. So let's break down the first big trade-off: lossy versus lossless. A lossy codec, like the H.264 you see all over the web, gets those tiny file sizes by literally throwing away data. Its algorithm looks at the image and says, you probably won't notice if this little bit is gone. It's fantastic for streaming. On the flip side, a lossless codec like ProRes is a data hoarder. It keeps pretty much 100% of the original info, which is amazing for editing and color grading, but man, those files are enormous. All right, the second major trade-off hits that playback complexity corner of our triangle, and this one directly affects how smooth your editing is. First, you have intra-frame codecs. Think of this like a classic flipbook. Every single page, every frame is a complete picture. This makes it super easy for your editing software to jump around. But then you have inter-frame codecs. These are way more clever, but also more complex. They record one full frame, called a keyframe, and then for the next bunch of frames, they only record the pixels that changed. This makes for smaller files, for sure, but it's a ton of work for your computer to rebuild those images in real time. And that's why your timeline gets so choppy and laggy. Okay, so that's the theory behind it all. But how do you actually use this stuff? Let's get super practical and build a simple playbook for your workflow. Really, your whole process breaks down into three key stages, and your codec choice is different for each one. We've got capture, which is what you're recording on. Then there's the edit, in post-production, and finally, deliver, how you get it out to the world. So let's start with capture. When you're recording, your camera's already making a choice for you. Most cameras default to H.264, and for good reason. It's a fantastic balance between good quality and small files. Now, if you want the absolute best quality for things like heavy color grading, you'll want to use something like Progress. Just be ready for those massive file sizes. And then there's the newer kid on the block, HEVC, also called H.265. It gives you even better quality than H.264 for about the same file size, but it can be a real beast for your computer to play back.
Okay, now for the editing stage. Remember how we talked about those complex interframe files making your timeline stutter? Well, if your computer is struggling with H.264 or HEVC footage, you've got two fantastic options. The first is to create proxies. These are just temporary, low-resolution copies of your footage that are super easy to edit with. Then, when you export, your software links back to the high-quality originals. The other option is to transcode everything from the start. That means converting all your camera files into an easy-to-edit format like ProRes. Either way, your playback is going to be buttery smooth.
And finally, let's talk about delivering your project. The best practice, the pro workflow, is actually to export twice. Your first export should be a master file, sometimes called a mezzanine file. This is your permanent, high-quality archive copy, usually in something like Progress. Think of it as your digital negative. Then, you take that beautiful master file and use it to create your second compressed copy in H.264 or HEVC. This is the one you upload to YouTube or social media. This two-step process is crucial because it prevents you from losing quality by recompressing an already compressed file.
Look, if you take only one thing away from all this, let it be this golden rule. Master in ProRes, deliver in H.264. Seriously, just remembering that one simple mantra will save you from so many headaches and make sure your quality is always as good as it can be.
All right, we've covered a ton of ground here, right? We've gone from the theory of how this stuff works to a real-world playbook you can use. So let's just zoom out for a second. What's the main takeaway?
It's really all about this. Once you understand that constant push and pull between quality, file size, and complexity, you're no longer just guessing. You're not just picking a random setting from a drop-down menu and hoping for the best. You're in control. You have the power to choose the right tool for the right job every single time.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about for your next project. Now that you know the rules of the game, what are you going to prioritize? Is it going to be maximum quality, blazing fast editing speed, or the smallest possible file size? The choice and the control is all yours.